I just want to do something that I'm going to commit to.
I'm so compelled to share, to pull other people out of their situation.
And I'm giving hope to women just like me who, probably felt unseen or probably...
It's just about finding what you love and what you're passionate about.
Do what you love. Do what you love.
And I really realized that this is what happens once you let go. You just create all that space,
It's about helping each other. It's about growing with each other. It's about being true to self.
To whom much is given, much is required.
You only ever have one obstacle, and that's yourself.
The Commit to Change. Change your life. Change your future.
Hey, and welcome to the Commit to Change, otherwise known as C2C podcast, that gives a voice to the people who may be considered a small fry in their industry, but are doing big things in their communities. I am Miss Nikki, the Jane of all trades, but the master of living. I am committed to introducing local VIPs, which are vivaciously inspiring people to encourage you on your daily journey, as well as let you know what is possibly happening in your area. So today, once again, I know like a couple of weeks ago, I was on this like Jersey craze, but Jersey is back in the house with today's guest. So let me introduce her before I go on with her bio. Please say hi to Joycelyn Francis.
Hi, Nikki. Thank you for having me here. I am, I'm super excited to have this chat. So thank you for inviting me.
You're so welcome. I'm super excited also to speak with you and get to learn more about you. So let the audience get a little preview before you tell us more about you. So she is also known as Joy. She is a mother, a wife, and a NASM certified fitness and wellness coach and photographer on a mission to change 1 million lives through movement. As a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, she uses fitness to prevail over the mental and emotional trauma she experienced. Using fitness as a tool, Joy has been effective with helping other women and men on their healing journey. She understands how emotions are intimately intertwined with our waistline. Isn't that the truth? She volunteered with the organization Project Kind that helps hopeless helps homeless people and homeless people get off the streets, in addition to her nonprofit that helps to mentor young and aspiring athletes. Joy's motto is changing one feeling at a time with one movement at a time. While in her home in the beautiful twin island of Trinidad and Tobago, she was honored by the Trinidadian and Tobago Military by winning the Fittest Female Training Instructors title in 2016. I'm not messing with her.
Oh my God.
She spreads her vision through online fitness courses, challenges, personal training packages, group class pop-ups, and more. She uses her platform of promoting emotional freedom through fitness, and it has helped her to take her message to large stages. She has become a respected voice on topics involving women's rights and mental health. She wants to share her story in hopes that it helps to inspire or encourage someone on their journey. Once again, please welcome Joycelyn Francis.
Thank you. I mean, that bio song did really nice. Oh my gosh. If I might say so myself, but thank you so much again for having me.
You're so welcome. So please, I'm going to give the floor to you so that way you can tell the audience a little bit more about what makes Joy Joy.
What makes Joy Joy? They say when you are given a name, it's not by coincidence. We live up to our names, whether it's a good name, whether it's a name you like or not. I didn't like my name when I first started out being a teenager. Your name, Joycelyn. It sounded like a old person name, and I got teased in school. So I kind of was like, you know what? I don't really like this name. I asked my mom, why did you name me this? Why can you give me some Keisha or something, Stacy? Like, why can you name me something else? But as I grew into my purpose and realized like what, my name meant, and just the beginning of it, the first 3 letters, joy, and walking in that joy, I kind of, started to really like it. And then I realized, oh, there's a lot of great people named Joycelyn. So, for me, it's, being joy. It's just being passionate about life and the things that I'm doing. I'm a person, if you know me, you've been around me, I'm always smiling. I'm always joyful. I could be walking through fire and I'm smiling. Not that I'm trying to make it look easy, but I just feel like you have a positive outlook and optimistic outlook on life, you get so much done and you get by so much faster than if I, stop to really see that I'm actually walking on fire. You know what I mean? So it's like you're running across the coals, like you're not going to feel it that much. But if you kind of walk slowly and look down, you're going to know it's coals that you're walking on. So
right.
That's what makes me joy.
Okay. So I'm going to apologize because I said Joycelyn instead of Joycelyn.
Listen, a lot of people do that too.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's fine. As long as you don't call me Collect,
You're funny. Do people do that anymore? Is that even possible? Yeah. Is it really? Oh, wow. Okay. Well, so tell me, like, what made you, like, tell us about your journey, like what brought you into the fitness world and changing lives. What drove your commitment to change?
Oh, wow. That's a long story for like 2 books. Chapter 1, the first, I guess part 1 would be the beginning of my life, and part 2 would be like, this middle portion. But for me, I'll just trunk it up to like the short version of when I started out. I've always been into sports, been into fitness. Growing up in the hills of Lower Santa Cruz in Trinidad and Tobago, we literally walked up a hill every day to go to and from school. We had to cross a river. It was, it's like, it was third world country kind of standards. No, not first world. So we would walk up every day to and from school. We would do all these different activities. So I was always an active kid. But with being active and being a poor active kid, I couldn't get into any sports because you need money for clothes. You need money for this. All I have is 1 pair shirt, 1 pair skirt for school, and that's it. Like I don't even have the right looking shoes. So for me, it was just going out there and just playing with the kids, different things, basketball, all the different sports you can think of. And when I got to late teenage years, when I decided to play basketball, I started making decisions as an adult at 15 years old. That's another story. So for me, I had to grow up real fast. My mom wasn't 100% mentally there. My dad was on drugs. So I had to really grow up really fast. And I started playing basketball at 18 for this North Zone women's team. And we were the champions. Hello.
Hey,
we were the champions. As we were the champions that year. So like every team that I've gone on, there's always something to be said that we were the underdogs, but we won. And it's just a combination of good people in a mix and energy that had made those sports really, really fun for me. So fast forward, I got to 20 years old, got pregnant. You doing grown people things, you get pregnant. And I had my son. And when I had him, I experienced postpartum depression, which I had no idea what was postpartum depression, because being from the Caribbean, you don't really get those type of resources to talk to you during pregnancy, especially if you're not going to some private hospital where, it's fancy and you're paying. Anything to do with the public health care It's not like
Right.
in the US where there's insurance. No, it's public, it's government run, it's whatever you get. Like you can be bleeding out and yeah, so it's whatever
Wow.
you get. And I remember when I had him, I didn't know what was happening. I just was feeling sad and all of these things. So I started walking because I know, you know, from my roots and growing up, I moved a lot. So I started walking, and that's when I picked up running on a treadmill at a little treadmill home. You know, you've probably never seen those treadmills before where there's no buttons. It's just like a bunch of things to run on.
Oh yeah, I've seen them.
Okay. All right. It was like real old school. I would run on
Yes,
those,
ma'am.
you know, run up and down the road. And from there, I started to realize every time I move, every time I run, oh, I felt so much better. You know, there was the adrenaline, the high, the dopamine rush. And I was like, oh, all right. So I kept on doing it over the years, moved to America, depression again, new mom, new wife, new country, hubby is working a new job. It's just like a whole new scenario. Again, fall into that depressive state. And I kept on doing it. Getting out on the basketball court in Bronxville, Brooklyn. And, you know, I guess that you're supposed to get some tap on your shoulder when you say that, because I heard, you know, everybody who's been from Bronxville know what it is over there. So I would go out, do, you know, a lot of activities, the basketball, whatever it was I was doing. I did that for a long time. And it was for me. I did fitness for me. It wasn't for anybody else. I had no intentions of doing it for anybody else. You know, so I just knew my purpose was in what I went through, but I didn't exactly knew how am I going to use it in terms of helping people change their lives. So that's my long story short version of that.
So when did you know like that it was like you wanted to help other people? Like what caused it? What was the shift from you to others?
The shift was in 2007 when, ooh, girl, this is gonna be deep. 2007, I told you, I have about 3-4 books in me. It need to be written. 2007 was May 2007, the year the brother that was before me, he was shot and killed. And that was a year of like really trying to figure out, you know, I'm growing, I got one child, I'm living here, I'm being adulting, and he came and he got killed. But the really strange thing to me was that I had a dream that something was going to happen to him. So that's my, you know, when that happened, the spiritual side of me, one of my gifts is, you know, the gift of seeing things and before they happen. I didn't understand that was my gift, but I always would have these dreams and I would call on people and tell them, sometimes it used to be good, sometimes not so good, but I never had that so close to home, actually seeing somebody and 2 days later getting a phone call. So for me, I was like, how can I help people? How can I use this and help people and put all the things that I'm passionate about and the things that I love doing and help people? Because I'm not a sit in the office type of person. You probably see, you know.
Listen, I feel you on that one.
You know, I'm not about that life. I am really a worker. I always say I'm a laborer. Put me to work, I'm going to do it at 200,000% excellence. And from that year, I went through the period of, you know, the back and forth, questioning God, like, how could this happen? Even having the suicidal thoughts, going through a whole depression for that year. And when I came out of that, I was like, all right, you had a year to cry or to do whatever you needed to do. Now it's time to get to work. And everybody would start telling me, like, Joy, because that full year I kept on moving, I kept on working out, I kept on running. And family and friends would be like, why don't you do a class? Why don't you teach, you know, train people? Why don't you do this? And I'm like, humans, no. You know, I'm like, no, humans, I don't want to do that. And they was like, yeah, but you're so good with people. And, you know, you're always smiling and bubbly. You know, it will be really good for you. at that time I was doing the photography. So I was like, nah, I like being behind the scenes, behind the camera. I'm good with that. But after a while, I was like, you know what? All right, time to do something. And from then onwards into now, I started doing friends and family, training them, helping people out, do what is running, just running with them, accountability partners. And then later on, I started to get certifications and all these things.
Okay.
So yeah, that was my pivot stop, something, how I think there's a quote that says when something drastic happens, it kind of gives you that opportunity to pivot, just like now we in the COVID season where it's you can either pivot or fall, and most times we humans, we're resilient and we could pivot, and sometimes we fall too, but I decided to pivot after that. Yeah, I literally stood, I know this one is a deep story, I literally stood on that 2007 my brother got killed. I stood on the platform of the number 3 train, thinking of going to jump in front of the train. So that was I guess I wouldn't say like a wake-up call, but that was the turning point for me, as in, you know what, you got to do something with this life. And my mindset is always like, hey, if I'm here and I'm alive and I have breath, I'm gonna do the work. I'm not about this play life. I don't know how long I have. I don't know how much time I have. I'm gonna do the work, whatever that work means. I'm gonna get my hands dirty. So,
wow,
I know that was a lot.
Listen, I'm grateful, and I'm appreciative of you being transparent with us. It's the story. You're not alone. So I'm grateful that you put it out there, because more people need to know that they're not alone, and to keep moving forward, to keep fighting. And I haven't been at the edge of where the train, the train platform.
The train track, yeah.
But I have been on my own platforms of some sort, in the same capacity of thinking about that next step. And so we are very similar in that fight for mental health, mental strength, and utilizing fitness to get it.
Yeah.
So when you're speaking, I'm taking that in, and it's just like I'm over here like woosah, because I get it. So thank you for sharing, because I know that's not always easy, and that also, of course, puts my thought, like, I definitely have to call upon you for any future events that where I would talk about mental health awareness and the struggle and the fight, because I feel like people talk about it, but not enough. They kind of glance over it, they mention it, but they don't continue the conversation, and they don't offer ways of support.
Yeah.
So there's not a full discussion about it. And I think that is something that's needed. And I really think it's something that's needed amongst our brown people.
Yes.
And even, like I said, when we were talking outside of this about the fact that our backgrounds are similar, like you have the Caribbean side, I have the Latin side and Caribbean, and those are not things that we talk about.
Yeah,
that's like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? It's not like, you're what? No, what is that? Like, girl, go over there. I remember at, I want to say I was 12. I used to get migraines, and I remember saying I was stressed, and my mother's like, "What are you stressed about? Like, you're 12." and it actually was stress, because I went, got tested. I had to go in the big machines because they thought maybe I had a tumor or whatever. And it literally was because of stress. So I'm like, I understand. I get it that, you know, sometimes it's like, what's the word that it's taboo to talk about those things. Cause it's like, what you talking about? You just go. Listen, all my Jamaican friends are going to be like, what are you doing? My accent is terrible. I had a girlfriend in college that used to say I sound like a leprechaun. So
Oh my God, stop.
Whatever. But thank you again. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. And definitely, you know, make that and you continue to put that up as a part of your story so people know, like, I mean, I'm not saying that you're not, but just so they know, like, we're struggling, we're doing this together, especially right now. So like you mentioned that, first of all, let me tell you, author needs to be on your list. It's coming, right? You said you already told me you got 2 books in you. So that needs to be aspiring author, soon to be author as a part of who you are and what you do. I just put that down. I wrote that in. I wrote that in for you. And then the other thing is, so you mentioned COVID because you know that's, you know, the thing now. That's the in thing now. Just kidding. But how did that affect your business? Like, what are you doing to, you know, to shift your business and how you show up in the world?
Wow. Well, that's a very good question because a couple years ago, I started online fitness, right? Like literally online personal training. I'm not talking about a video you can do on your own. I'm talking about me, you talking camera to camera, eye to eye. We're doing it. And I remember my cousin-in-law, Melanie, said, how is that going to work, Joy? I don't understand. Like, I don't think people would go for that. And I remember starting off with this one client in Brooklyn, and she busy professional, you know, professional, busy, ain't got no time. 5 a.m. in the morning, we on Zoom, and with, come on, squat, she whatever weight she had in her house. And over time, I kept doing that, and my cousin-in-law was like, "This thing is really working." So when COVID happened, she was like, "Oh my gosh, you were so ahead of the time." You know, with this thing, because I didn't just have, like, I'm literally personal 101 with you, like we have a 1 hour session. I'm there with you in front of the camera, showing you the workout, looking at you and doing everything. And I was like, she's like, so how did you decide on that this is going to work? I was like, I didn't know it was going to work. I just did it. Right. You know, it's like, you don't know what's going to work. You just do it. And COVID happened. And I was like, oh, just normal for me. It's regular business as usual, because I'm already doing the online clients where I see them online. The ones that I see in person was easy to switch online because, I mean, everybody's scared in, you know, in some way, shape or form of getting the virus. So they were fine.
Right.
Like, hey, I'm going online. And when things started to change, with the, like, opening back up, I started to do boot camp outside in the park. That's another thing I've always done. I've done boot camps in the park, you know, every Saturday. Now with COVID, I'm doing it 3 days a week. And I look upon this year in 2020, and I know a lot of people, you see a lot of captions saying cancel 2020, this year is hell, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? This year has been a blessing. Like, this is the first year I've run a boot camp for 16 weeks in a row straight.
Wow.
You know, 16 straight weeks, 3 days a week. And I'm like, this has been a blessing. Even if I don't have 30 people, I have 6 to 10 people. And that's good numbers for me, because when it comes to personal training, I really focus on individual training. I know a lot of people tend to say, well, you know, I'm not in it for the money. Yeah, I want to make money, but I also want to make impact. And if I'm watching you and I'm telling you do a push-up and you're doing it wrong and I'm not paying attention, I'm not impacting your lifestyle, because you're going to go do the wrong push-up for the rest of your life. You know what I mean?
Right. So, exactly.
Right. So for me, I like to keep my classes small. I'm not into the numbers. I keep my classes small. And for 16 weeks, this is our last cycle. And I really said it's the last cycle because these ladies probably would go until the end of the year, because people want to be out. They want to be outside. They don't want to go inside. They don't want to go into the gyms. So this has been like really, really, really good. You know, I would say, yeah, it's been a blessing. You know,
That's
it's been a
awesome.
blessing.
Yay! I'm really happy. Yeah, I'm really happy about that. Because some people, this happened and they were lost. They were lost. So God set you up and you were ready to go. You were like, oh, this is not the more people want to come. Come on. I'm already
like,
set up. Come on over while the other people are trying to get their stuff together. Come on over.
Yep.
So, you know, when you decided to make the switch, so I'm going to go back to when you made the switch from it being fitness about you to now being about others, what did you find was your biggest obstacle and how did you overcome it?
The biggest obstacle for me when I made the switch was getting out of my own way. There's a couple obstacles, but one of them is getting out of my own way and back to the past. When you experience childhood trauma, right? There's a thing that happens in your brain. It's just something in your psyche that tells you that you're not good enough, right? And you grow into an adult and that little girl is still in there thinking that you're not good enough. And for me, when I started, you know, when I made the shift, I was like, who is me, this little island girl, telling people how to move? And there's so many big people out there, like the big names of fitness, and, you know, that's doing it. The first couple of weeks, months, maybe at least a year or two, like I would think that, but I can tell you what really helped my mindset to shift from those, those mind blocks was reading a lot of books, studying the masters. That's one of the things I've learned to do really good. Study the greats, study the masters, study how they do it. Because, and then my mindset changed to, oh, a lot of people's doing it. Or my friends or family might say, well, you're in the industry, it's saturated. And I was like, yeah, it's $100 billion industry. Piece of that is mine, period.
Yes.
So that changed from where I was like, I'm not sure, everybody's doing it, to, yeah, 100 billion, I could get a piece of that. Because there's no one person could get the 100 billion. It's enough for us to go wrong.
Absolutely. Yes.
So the biggest obstacle was mindset, shifting that mindset. And sometimes I go back and I in my prayer closet and I'll be like, Lord, like, you know, I know you use things that happen to people for the good and all of these things, but why does that to happen to me? Because it does shift up there in your mind. It takes a longer time for you to grasp, you know, at who you are as a person and your identity and being enough, you know?
Right. And it's a good thing that you have that mentality, because there's some cutthroat people out there and it's like, dude, like there's enough to go around. This is unnecessary. And then there's the ones, like you said, the naysayers that will be like, oh, why would you want to be a part of it that everybody is doing? It's like, well, there's a lot of doctors too. And they don't say, oh, there's too many doctors, I don't want to be one. You know, like it's a matter of preference. The person is going to go to whoever they prefer to go. Like not every personality works with every personality.
Yeah.
So if they find something in joy, they're going to stick with joy. It doesn't matter, you know, that there's another person down the street. Do you think, you know, McDonald's and Wendy's think I'm not going to go across the street because there's McDonald's over there already, you know, there's fast food in this neighborhood already. No. So those of you who are listening, if you're like, I want to get in the fitness industry, but there's so many trainers out there, so what? They're not all good either.
Exactly.
So who has been your biggest supporter through all this?
Wow. Lots of supporters. Do I have to just name one?
The one that sticks out the most, or the one who has been present throughout, if that helps.
Present throughout. Wow. All right.
I mean, you can pick more than one.
I could pick, and I'll pick one or maybe two. But I would say my biggest biggest supporter is my husband. He's probably gonna blush when he hears this. You know, he's gonna be like, oh. But he's been my biggest supporter. Like, one of the things I would say is that when you get married to someone who has experienced the stuff that I've gone through, you have to be a certain kind of man. Like, you have to be really strong, because we come resilient, we come strong, we come, you know, with this like fight. So like you gotta be able to just get on board and, you know, roll with the punches at times. And then you also have to be able to contain us when we like, we maybe too much for our own self. So I would say he has been like there from day one. And family, my family. So, okay. What's your husband's name? Lincoln Francis.
Lincoln, thank you. Thank you, Lincoln. We appreciate you.
Yes, I do. Yes. I do.
We have to give him some kudos. Yes. So now you have your husband backing you. And then the next thing is, how would you feel, I should say, that you are adding value in your community?
How do I feel I add value to my community? Okay. Lots of ways. Beside my fitness, you know, I'm very passionate about fitness, movement, and I just get all these ideas and crazy things going on in my head. I'm a visionary. You know, everybody have their different thing. I'm a visionary and a worker. So that's my two, you know, things. I'm a visionary and I'm a worker. I could think big, dream big. You can't stop it. But I'm going to do the work too. I mean, I have the strategy. If I hire someone for the strategy, but I'm going to, you know, I'm in those 2 pointers. And in my community, beside the fitness and the movement, my nonprofit, which is Just One You organization, which is fairly literally maybe 2 years new. This has been 4 years in the making, but 2 years testing out. So I really don't talk about it much, because, you know, you just kind of keep those little big dreams just until the right moment. And it's mentoring aspiring athletes, young athletes. I have 2 athletes under my belt, 2 young girls, 2 young brown girls, you know, mentoring them and teaching them that, you know, athletes mindset. And that's one of the ways that I want to continue to impact change, especially with the young people. That's where the future is. So, and plus, you know, having 2 young boys, it's very important to me, not just girls, but as well, you know, to mentor boys. That's one way that I, you know, impact my community. The other way is working with Project Kind, which is fairly new, maybe 2 years old. Project Kind is a nonprofit based here in Rockaway, New Jersey. And what they do is help people from homeless to house. So we've helped people from whether they, you know, they live in Penn Station, Newark, or Penn Station, New York, or Newark. We've helped people come off the streets. And these are regular folk just like me and you who, you know, went under some pressure, or the economy turned this way or whatever, and they ended up, you know, out of a house and a home and on the streets. So we have this place called the Project Kind Closet here in Rockaway. People, you can get to drop off like food stuff, clothes, you know, gently used. You can donate at projectkind.org. There's so many things. One of the reasons I like this organization, and I really, you know, jumped in and partnered with them, not because my neighbor like pushed me in, but, you know, she's like, oh, you want to come help do something? Then 2 years ago. And I was like, sure. And then I was like, oh, I actually like doing this. And, you know, I like what they're doing. I like what they stand for. And their whole, you know, motto is that everybody deserves love. You know, everybody deserves loves. And they have some different partnership, like with the New York Giants and some other organizations. So, they, you know, like these are people you don't hear about. You hear about the big organizations, but they're doing a lot of work, and it's volunteers that make it happen. There's nobody getting paid. There's just volunteers make it happen. Every money that comes in goes to somebody to get housed, somebody who need you know, who burned their house down. You know, people in the community who, you know, maybe COVID happened to them and job loss and different things. And it's just been a really, 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 awesome organization, helping them and being on board with them so far. So that's two of my things. There's more.
That's
but...
a lot. That's a lot, you know? So now your neighbor started that, or she just pulled you into the organization? She told you about it?
She pulled me in. Her good friend is one who started it, which is Jenny DePaul.
Okay.
Jenny, she lives literally down the street from me. So it's all neighbors.
Okay.
And, yeah, she pulled me in with Jenny and, introduced me into the story and why, she decided like she would go out and hand sandwiches down in Newark. And then it became this, bigger thing and wanted to help people. But I like being with people and around people who are working to make the world a better place. Like I'm not going to be on the sidelines and be like, oh, well, the world is bad. It's going to the dumpsters, blah, blah, blah. No, I want to be the one that's picking up the trash and let's make it better. Like,
right.
Let's make it better. So
be a part of the solution. Absolutely. So, earlier we read in your bio that you are becoming a respected voice on women's rights and mental health. Tell me a little bit about that.
Whew. So, all right, let me start. There's so many things that I dabble. I don't even know if I should use the word dabble, but there's so many things that are near and dear to my heart. Beside the Project Kind, it's another organization, Mantari, and that's an organization that helps survivors of human trafficking. So you realize like the whole line of it is always helping somebody, right? And they help the survivors of human trafficking. They're based out of New York. And one of the things with that organization is helping women, again, out of trafficking. And we do like small events. They have this cooking thing where you help, when you're helping people, and usually, I think we just spoke about that, where there's a revolving door. They go in to get help, they come back out, there's nobody there for them to, there's nothing. There's no help. We're talking about mental health, right? We talk about it today, and then we just leave everybody, for themselves. So the same thing with this organization. What they do is they try not to have that. So they try to take you out of the situation, help you through it, help you gain a skill, help you find a job. There's a step process. So it's not just like, oh, we talk about this today. We talk about mental health, but I'm not walking your hand and taking your hand and helping you walk through it. You know what I mean? So with women's health, women's rights, one of the things I partner with my good friend, Dr. Siobhan. She's a naturopathic doctor. So she deals a lot with women's fertility and hormones and all these different things and women's health issues. So, we've been doing a bunch of webinars on nutrition, and especially
that's beautiful.
especially for Black and brown women, because one of the things that she have found, I'm a little bit of a nerd in my head too, so I love the sciencey things too. One of the things that we have found, and you probably have heard and seen this as well, a lot of Black and brown people you hear dying from cancer, and the big C is hitting our community way more than any other community, right? And one of the things in her research and the different things that she does is seeing that the foods we eat, stuff like that, how it's attacking us more, why are more Black women have fibroids than other races, why are more Black, like these little things you may not hear about in mainstream media, but when you dig deeper into the core, you realize, oh, I can actually have a hand, I could actually play a part in helping change the narrative for my community, Yes. So just in like all of these things with the women's health, women's rights in that area. I forgot what the other question was.
Well, no, I just told you, like I asked you, tell me about your why you've become like a respected voice. Like tell me a little bit about your platform that's using that. But you're doing that. But before you move on to that, I wanted to touch base into something that you said, which is about the nutrition and like how it's affecting us more. But it goes back into what we were talking about earlier about people not having the conversation about what's going on in our lives because of the taboo it is in our families. And in addition to the nutrition, is also because of the trauma that we've experienced in our lives, whether it was physical or emotional, and we bottle those up. And it shows up, like also in your bio about, around your waistline, it affects your thyroid. It's affecting different parts of your body. And a lot of people try to pinpoint it on just it being, chemical imbalance or nutrition based, but it also includes things that we've dealt with and that is bottled up, and it's showing up as a sickness in your body.
Yes.
And it in the importance of talking about the fullness of physical fitness and mental fitness. All of that is inclusive. Like that part of it is like something that I'm super, super passionate about. And it's something that needs to be addressed. And this is what makes like people like you, people like me, different in the industry, because we're offering something different, and there's something that we understand that other people don't. And it's one thing to, there's like we talked about, an oversaturated business of fitness, being personal trainer fitness, so a lot of people who are personal trainers, their goal is, let me give somebody that beach body. And then there's other people that's, no, I want you to become overall healthy. I want you to, full health and long-term, not just for that moment, not just for that wedding, not just for, for that short-term event. And it's super important to be that voice that you are. And I'm grateful, and I know we're just meeting, but I'm proud, and I would definitely love to hear, just what the things that you're putting out there. And I think it needs to be continually promoted. So again, I thank you for coming on the show. So that way, again, people are hearing it, people are getting to see it, and now we can take it full circle. The narration and the conversation about this. So thank you about that. That probably caused you to completely lose what we were talking about, because
no, I didn't lose.
Okay, good. Yeah,
I didn't lose it, because I was going to mention, because I mentioned the women's rights, women's health, and then I was going to talk about the mental side of it, where championing the course for mental health, and you were talking about bringing everything full circle. It's the holistic body, the holistic health, and I'm not afraid to tell people, I'm not your everyday trainer. Like, I know what I have. I know the source I have. Like, I'm not here to just, well, you pay me, I don't care about you. Like, literally, it annoys me if I see an imbalance, if I see something, it annoys me not to say it. Because then it means I'm not living in my purpose. So whether it's, and this is the thing about building my tribe and building my network, is I have therapists, I have this person, I have that person. So I ain't here, I ain't Jesus. I know that. Like, I leave the job to him. So I know I can't fix everything, but I can help direct you in the pathway where, hey, maybe you're struggling with this. Maybe it's not a fitness program you need. Maybe you need to talk to a therapist for a little bit. And I've had, clients that I've directed down that path. I've had clients that I directed to holistic health doctors. My friend, Dr. Siobhan, directed in that, into that path where, hey, listen, you don't need to be physically moving. You can walk. You can do that on your own. What you need is this. Because you got all of these underlying health things. And, I think a lot of trainers and a lot of, coaches or however, they're not looking for that. They're just like, all right, you come here, let me beat your body down. You feel good, send you home. I'm not about that life. You come to me, you're looking like every time I see you got under eye dark circles, I'm trying to find out, like, what's wrong? Did you check it? Go check it. Don't come back to me until you check it.
Right.
You know, that's how serious I am with it. And especially when it comes to mental health, because I know it's something that we don't talk about. It's taboo, especially in the Black and brown community. And we ain't talking about it. So I'm there like, how are you feeling today? And the whole it goes right back to the motto, slogan of, you know, changing one feeling at a time with one movement at a time. Because the only way to change the feeling is to move. All right.
Yeah.
There's other ways, but the movement is what helps you to progress along the lines of, you know what, making that lasting change.
Right.
You know? So I'll always talk about it. I talk about it freely now. It wasn't as easy in the beginning, but I talk about mental health freely now because I know the struggles, I know the pain, and I've come to a point where I can say I go through bouts of depression, or I might have bouts of anxiety, but anxiety is not mine. You know, like I don't say my anxiety or that is not mine. I go through periods of it. I might have a little episode of, you know, anxiety or panic attack, but it's not mine. Ain't mine to keep. Again, back to the mindset and the holistic health, mind, body, soul, holistic health. You know, so I try to put that in there every time I have a little something to talk about. That's what I do. That's what I do.
Thank you. We need that. So what would you say to someone who is sitting on the fence of their dreams? You know, they have an idea, they want to take it, they want to be a trainer, but they don't know where to start. Like they're afraid to jump off the fence and move towards a dream. What would you say to someone like that?
Wow, that's a good question too. What would I say? This might sound real simple, but this is the reason I just love this brand. And one day they're going to give me a sponsorship, and that brand is that brand with the tick, Nike. Just do it. You know,
yes, I'm trying to be there too, girl.
Oh my God. That's the only, they might have the worst shoes. Who knows what they have? But one of the reasons I really, resonate with that brand is that slogan of just do it. And it might be 3 little words. It might sound simple. It might but guess what? If you're sitting on the fence, you just have to get up and do it, because guess what? You're not going to know if it works unless you do it. And the faster you do it is the faster you know it not working. So you ain't gonna waste your life 10, 15 years trying to figure out if this idea was gonna work. And then 10, 15 years from now, you see Steve Jobs or the Tesla guy with the idea that you had.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, no, You're gonna be so pissed at yourself. So just do it. It's the simplest thing, but it's one of the hardest things for people to do.
Yes. And that goes into, because they're worried about externally being accepted.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, we need a whole other podcast.
Yes, another show. Let's like to talk about that. Yes. I believe that. So I'm putting that on the list too.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that.
We need to chat again.
Yes. I heard one of my good one of my original pastors say this one time. He said, the world is suffering from an identity crisis. And I always repeat that to people, and they're like, what do you mean? I was like, yeah, when you look at everything holistically, everything, it's an identity crisis. Because when you know who you are and whose you are, you would stand in that light. As Maya Angelou say, like, hey, when you stand, you don't stand alone, you stand with 10,000. You stand with the backing of a whole generation of people who came before you and fought, for you to stand here and be like, what? You're not gonna do it? No. I tell I tell my sons, and raising 2 brown boys, I tell them this every day. I said, you can't not do what you think you don't want to do. I said, because you had people that came before you that paved the way, so you better do it. You just can't, you can't spit on them, you can't sleep on it, you gotta do it. Because they paved the way for you.
Yes, and this is a different generation.
Yes.
These kids, Lord. I mean, I know I feel right. I mean, I feel for them for the sense of like when we were growing up, you know, we just had like the disappointment of our parents, like we're not living up to what our parents want, or we're not living up to their standards or the family. But now the extra layer now is the, you know, your classmates, your social media presence, like, oh my God, I couldn't even imagine. But with that, the kids have like this sense of entitlement. Lord.
Oh my gosh. That's another story.
I was just about to say that. That's a whole other story. Okay. So let's move on because we'll be here all day. All right. So the next part is our lightning round. So I'm going to ask 5 questions and you just answer what comes to mind, you know, short, sweet. If it happens to be short, sweet, if you need to explain. It's all good. We here. Okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
What initially held you back from your commitment to change, if anything did?
What held me back? Oh my gosh, this is lightning round, Joy. Get it?
Yes.
What held me back, beside the fact that, you know, thinking that I'm not good enough, it's resources. And I'm not saying resources in terms of everything's out there in Google, but I talk resources in terms of mentorship, in terms of talking to people who've done it before. So I think once I got over that hurdle and I got in there and I got to the people, because sometimes you got to go find a mentor. You can't just wait for them to come to you.
Right.
And yeah, you just, so that would be my one response.
Okay. And what is the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, wow. The best advice you've ever received. Wow. Oh my goodness. These are good questions though. I would say the best advice I've ever received was from a mentor who is a strength and conditioning coach, Aries Sports Performance. Shout out Aries Sports Performance, Trinidad and Tobago. And he said to me, and it goes back to the just do it principle. He said to me, you never know what it's going to be until you do it. And that was, I wanted to do this Flexi Fit class. It's, you know, like a yoga Pilates kind of mix. And I was so scared to do it. And he was like, you never know what's going to be unless you do it.
Right.
And yeah, that would be one of the good advice that I could remember.
Okay. So Joy, share a personal habit that contributes to your success.
Oh, there's lots. Lots. One of the things that I do, I write everything down, every single thing in my phone, I have calendars, I have books everywhere. I write everything down. And literally, I have a dream book for Joy Fitwell. I have a dream book for Joy. I have a dream book for like I have everything written down, and I come back to these things in months and years, and I'd be like, oh, I had written that down. It happened, so one of the things it's writing it down, and in writing it down, it helps me to stay focused, help me to come back to something. And, when you feel like those down and down moments, you could go back and read it, right. That's one of the habits that I do. The other one is I build routine. So, routine meanings in the morning, I wake up, prayer, meditate, I move. It's like breathing to me. And I know a lot of my friends and clients and family, they always wonder, like, how do you do it? How do you stay so consistent with running and training? It's like breathing to me. That's what I do. It's a routine. I get up every day and I do it. I could be feeling how tired, how exhausted. It's just like, I have to get something done. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, with the writing, people don't realize, like, when you're writing things down, not only is it helping you to stay focused and organized, but it's a part of the manifestation process. Because, you said like, oh, I did all those things. because you're making it plain, you're letting it know, like, this is what I see in my life and want to happen. And so it comes out that way. So that's awesome. Okay, so what book would you recommend to the C2C audience and why?
Ooh, listen, the thing is, I'm a reader. I'm a forever learner, and I'm a big time reader. I have a big library. I have my kids reading all the time. So this is a very hard one because there's so many books I have. But I will go way, way back and say number one is The Richest Man in Babylon. And that book has taught me so many things. I read that book, I think I was 18 years old. And I have my 16-year-old son reading a bunch of them as well. I was like, if you get all this information right now, you'll be way better than us. Way better than us, because we got these things late. So The Richest Man in Babylon is one. And, oh my gosh, The Alchemist. The Alchemist is the other one.
Yes, that's a good book.
Alchemist. These book really puts you in that mindset of really thinking. And it's not just a book you put down. It's a book like you have to process, like you have to write and do some of the things and, answer the questions for yourself. Like in The Alchemist, certain questions will come up and you literally go take a book, write down some of the things and see how you can, create that hero's journey. So yeah, I love that one. Those two.
And I actually was surprised. My kids are doing the homeschooling, but from a homeschooling program, an actual homeschooling program. And that was one of the books that they gave. I was like, what? Let me find out. Yeah. And I was like, okay. I was like, this is good. This is good for them. Yeah, I was very surprised about that. All right. So here's your big question. If you found out that you had 1 hour left to live and you were given the opportunity to share one final message, what would it be?
Dun, 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 dun. Oh my gosh. Final message will be, no matter what you think of, no matter what people say, no matter what you see, believe in yourself more than anything else. And you can do it. Yeah. Does it have to be long?
No, that was perfect.
That's short and sweet.
Yes, that was perfect. Thank you so much. So tell us where we can find more about Joy, what we can find what you're doing, when you're speaking, like just tell us where to find you.
Oh, well, if you're on Instagram, give me the deets at JoyFitWorld on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Pinterest, on everything. I might be active on all of them, but I'm active on Instagram and Facebook a lot. I'm even on TikTok, but I'm not active there. I just use TikTok for cooking videos. So I just look at all these funny things, but all social media at JoyFitWorld. But guess what? Since I don't own social media, you can go to joyfitworld.com. That's my website. I pay for every month. You can go there and you can find out more about me and what I'm doing. The next event that I'm going to be doing soon, it's another nutrition webinar. We had one last night, and I have a mindset reset course that's coming up in the fall, winter. It's like I need this. I'm like, no matter how much you show people movement, and they don't get their mind right, they're still never going to move.
Right.
So
absolutely
that's one of the things. That's one of the things I'm working on. And there's some other things, but Instagram is where I usually post everything that's going on Instagram and Facebook. So once you follow me there, you can find out every single thing.
All right. Well, thank you. That is a wrap. It's over.
Awesome.
Joy, I want to thank you so much for being a VIP guest on the C2C podcast. And thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in. We hope that you feel inspired and keep moving towards your goals and stick with or make a commitment to change your life. And please make sure to check out the links provided by our guests and share today's podcast and information with anyone you feel may benefit from it. And remember, in order to get to the top of the steps, you have to take the first step. Just don't step on anyone on the way, because you just might trip. This is Miss Nikki. Till next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Change your life, change your future. To commit to change your life, change your